Good morning. And we give a special thanks to our choir and to Ruth for helping lead us as we wait for our new music minister. Welcome to Theodore Parker Universalist Unitarian Church. My name is Jake, my pronouns are he, they, and I have been attending TPC for just about a year now with my family. As we enter into worship, we bring with us all of the sorrows and joys of our week, and we know that here we are held in a loving community. Here we are reminded that we are a part of something larger than ourselves. Here we seek to counter oppression, to work for healing and justice in a bruised and broken world. Here we are inviting all of you to bring your perspectives, your beliefs and doubts, and all that is unique and wondrous about you to our service. In a spirit of love, all are welcome here. For those joining us in person, a few things you may want to know. Our congregation is mask optional, and if you would like to be seated in an area where others are also wearing a mask, this section under the marbled windows is reserved for people who are wearing masks. You can use the QR codes at either entrance or in your pews to pull up the order of service on your phone or take one of the large print copies available at either entrance. All the information will also be up on the screen. Our service is being recorded today and will be available on YouTube later. If you would like to have a joy or concern shared with the congregation today during our meditation and prayer, we invite you to fill out one of our meditation cards on the table to the right with the candles. You may also light a silent candle of joy or concern at any time during our worship service, or use the space in the far back corner for private reflection during the service. People of all ages are welcome to move about in the sanctuary as they need to, or to make themselves comfortable in the cozy zone in front of the first pew. Today is our multi-generational blessing of the animals, and children are invited to be with us during the whole service. We do also have childcare available for children under 4 in the nursery located in the parish hall through that door. Many thanks to Deanna, who is our camera point person today, and to Tom, who is our Zoom usher. If you are new with us at Theodore Parker Church or visiting today, we would love to stay in touch. You are invited to fill out a connection card, which will give you an opportunity to sign up for our weekly updates and help us welcome you. You'll find those in with the hymnals in the front of your pew. A link to the connection card will also be in the chat for those joining us virtually today, as well as other contact info for the church. Those joining us here in the sanctuary are encouraged to fill out the contact card. Now it is time for us to join together and greet one another. For those on Zoom, putting your video on for this time helps us to feel connected. Deanna, would you please put on the gallery view? All right, so we will give each other a big wave. Sanctuary folks, the camera is behind the clock over the door. All right. As we continue to greet one another, if online, you may post a hello in the chat. If you are physically in the sanctuary, we invite you to stand and greet one another and say good morning, and please ask for consent before any physical contact. When we're done with greeting, Yukiko will give us Cançons e Danças número 6 by Frederico Mompou.
Good morning. My name is Rose. I use she, her pronouns, and I serve as this congregation's religious educator. So glad to welcome you all here this morning with all of your creatures, stuffed and lived and everything in between. Our opening words this morning come from Ian W. Riddle, The Calling of the Creatures. Come hoof and trunk and tail and horn, paw and wing and claw, come bird and reptile, mammal born, all full of nature's law. Bring bark and crow and ribbit too, in silent stare and hiss. Bring purr and trill and warble too, and voice no ear can miss. We gather here, each life and all, to celebrate and sing, to honor creature large and small, 'tis holiness we bring. Please join me if you would rise and body your spirit for our opening hymn, number 38, Morning Has Broken. The words will be up on your screen.
Please be seated. Each week, as Universalist Unitarians, we light a chalice as part of our service. During this, each week, we join together in saying our shared covenant, once in English and once in Spanish, in honor of our sibling community in Plazuelas, El Salvador. The words will be up on the screen. Abigail and Cecile will be coming up to light our chalice today. Please join me. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its prayer. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. El amor es el espíritu de esta iglesia, y el servicio es nuestra oración. Esta es nuestra gran promesa, vivir juntos en paz, buscar la verdad con amor y ayudarnos a los unos a los otros.
So this morning, we are celebrating the blessing of the animals, a service that has been celebrated many times in this community and in many other Unitarian Universalist congregations. Whether or not you live with animals, all of us have a connection to, relationship with the wider web of life. I know that each time I take the time to notice and honor those connections, tuning in to the hum of insects and trees outside of my home, swooping birds, and the chatter of squirrels that wake me up in the morning, it helps me to break down one of the big untruths that I think our culture often tells: the false belief that we are separate from nature, instead of deeply, inextricably a part of it. The animal companions many of us share our homes with connect us to this truth as well, as the daily rhythms their needs create often help remind us that our needs are not so different. Our needs for nourishment, movement, cuddles, and care are just as central to us as they are to them. And over time, we often find ourselves realizing that we need the animal friends in our lives for support and presence just as much as they rely on us. Today in our service, we'll hear 2 testimonials from members of our community who have been invited to reflect on the question, what spiritual lessons have your relationships with animals taught you? Thank you so much to Benata Berry and David Forsyth for sharing your wisdom and careful attention with us today. And after we hear those reflections, I'll be inviting all of you to come forward, along with your beloved animals, if you brought them. I see at least a few in the pews with us today. Or stuffed animals you may have brought to receive a blessing, or animals carried in your heart or in a picture, so that they can receive a blessing of love and care. First, I'd like to share a story with you all, a really sweet meditation on what does connect us with the rest of life. This is a story called Life by Cynthia Ryant. The illustrations will be up on your screen. You can follow along. Life. Next slide. Ready for the next slide? Thank you. Life begins small. And even for the elephants, then it grows. Beneath the sun and the moon, life grows. Ask any animal on earth, what do you love about life? The hawk will say sky. The camel will say sand. The snake will say grass. The turtle may remain quiet. It has seen much in its 100 years. But the turtle loves life. How could it not? With so much rain on its back. Life is not always easy. There will probably be a stretch of wilderness now and then. But wilderness eventually ends. And there's always a new road to take. Remember this. In every corner of the world, there is something to love and something to protect. And if one day it seems nothing beautiful will ever come your way again, trust the rabbit in the field, in the deer who crosses your path. Trust the wolf and the wild geese who find their way back home. All these know something about life, that everything is changing, and it is worth waking up in the morning to see what might happen. Because life begins small and grows. Thank you. I'd now like to invite up Madonna Berry to share our first testimonial. Should have said Madonna and Maggie, if she's willing to come up.
Hi, everybody. My name is Madonna Berry. Thank you, Rose, for inviting me. This is Maggie. And Rose asked me to reflect on the spiritual lessons that my relationship with this precious animal has taught me. Well, she doesn't bound up and down the stairs as fast as she used to. My wife, Rebecca, or I monitor her as she slowly and at times unsteadily manages the stairs. We put up a doggy gate last week. Each time I remove the gate, I'm reminded that she's getting older, and so am I. She jumps up on the furniture, but sometimes she needs help. Years ago, my wife and I decided to adopt our first dog together. I was nervous. My wife practically grew up with dogs. I didn't. I wasn't what you might call a dog person. So I researched dog types and characteristics. I wanted the perfect dog and one that didn't shed. My wife wanted a smaller dog. And if you've ever adopted a shelter, you know there are not many pedigree choices available. So even before adopting Maggie, I was learning the lessons of perfectionism and control, not to force a solution and to know my limitations. It took time, but I learned to become a dog person. 12 years ago, our first dog, our beloved Cocker Spaniel named Sasha, died. And we found our new dog, who is here, at the Boston Animal Shelter in Roslindale. It was no spiritual coincidence that when we asked, we were told that Maggie was surrendered to the animal shelter and her original name was Sasha. Sasha, the name of our beloved Cocker Spaniel. So Maggie was meant to be our dog. So what spiritual lessons has she taught me? She's taught me to be slow and gentle. She taught me about aging and slowing down and not being able to do what I once did. As I walk, she teaches me patience and being connected to the spirit, this precious being who communicates in ways other than words. She taught me to be present in the moment. She taught me to be in touch with old sadnesses and new awarenesses. On one of our regular walks, we pass a house where a pair of barking dogs throw themselves against the windows. I'm always startled by the ruckus, but Maggie keeps walking and sniffing and enjoying her walk and pays no attention. She shows me how not to be reactive and to keep the focus on myself. When we first adopted Maggie, I was pretty rigid and didn't want her to sit on the furniture. Gradually, I became more flexible. And though our furniture has been recently reupholstered, Maggie sits anywhere she wants, and I'm fine with that. I find it humbling to be able to help take care of this precious being who is dependent upon us. Caring for Maggie has taught me to be kinder and gentler with other beings. I'm frightened by big dogs, apprehensive of what a dog might do. A couple of years ago, Maggie and I were walking in the neighborhood, and a big German Shepherd came bounding out from a yard and ran after Maggie. It all happened so fast. I was so scared for Maggie and me. Maggie took off, became undone from her harness, and ran across the quiet street onto a lawn. The German Shepherd was close behind her. I still don't know how I managed to get hold of the German Shepherd's lead. As I was leading the German Shepherd back across the street to a fence post where I could restrain the dog, I spoke softly with Maggie. "Stay with me, Maggie, stay with me." I was amazed. Maggie, who was just learning voice control, stayed with me. I scooped Maggie up into my arms and held her close, and I realized how much I love her. I was grateful Maggie was not hurt. That incident with Maggie taught me about love and gratitude and to trust the universe. She's a friendly little animal. Oh, so many blessings and so many spiritual lessons. Last year, my wife Rebecca and I brought Maggie to the Theodore Parker Church for the blessing of the animals. Often, I stroke her head and look into her chestnut brown eyes, and I say, "Maggie, Rose blessed you. And Maggie, you have blessed me. Thank you."
Thank you so much, Madonna and Maggie. We move towards our time of meditation and prayer. And as we do so, I invite you to enter into this moment, here and now. Feel the earth's gentle gravity holding you. Take a few slow and nurturing breaths. Give yourself over to this time of stillness. If you are here in the sanctuary and would like to include a joy or concern this morning, have them spoken aloud, you can fill out a prayer card over here during our centering hymn. And if you're on Zoom today and wish to share a joy or concern, I invite you to type it into the chat now. I invite you to remain seated and join in our singing our centering hymn, number 21, For the Beauty of the Earth. be lighting a candle of joy today on behalf of Karen Bishop, who shares that her friend Diane had a successful tumor removal surgery last week. We have another candle of joy from Andrea, who says that her sister's niece Bella took the plunge of marriage yesterday in San Jose. This is a vote for the future in this scary world. From Frank Lasky, Joy Cern, that he's going to be a great-grandfather. Congratulations, Frank. From Ashley, a joy of having all of you in my life. And a sorrow, dizzy spells, not seizures. From Nancy Wilbur, concerns for Eli Feldman, Marcia and Adam's son, who grew up in this church. Eli is at MGH with multiple symptoms, including dizziness, awaiting a diagnosis. Marcia asks for your prayers. From Ruth, a sorrow for the loss of a cottage at Garnet Lake in the Adirondacks due to a tornado, with hopes for a rebuild. Ruth says, I spent many happy childhood days there. From Ben Fox, a joy of the incredible medical care in Boston that, despite multiple illnesses, allows me to thrive. Okay, sorrow, I'm hearing from Ben that a sorrow that access to care is not equal. Thank you, Ben. For all of these joys and concerns, and for those that remain unspoken in the sanctuary of our hearts, we will light one final candle. Let us join together in a space of prayer and meditation. Dear life, spirit that connects each of us with all other living beings, today we honor that connection, bring our attention and our devotion to it. We give thanks for the creatures in our lives, for the larger ecosystems we are a part of, the way that they are a part of holding our love and our loss, the grief and gratitude we feel here together. We give thanks for their teaching us about care and connection, awe and intuition. Where we are called to offer care, may we do so with generosity and gentleness. Where we are in need of companionship, may we find it, and may we offer it in return. Where we find destruction, exploitation, sorrow, and pain, may we seek to protect and repair. When we have encounters with awe, may we remember to take time for reverence. And when we need a reminder of what is most important in this life, may we look around and feel the love of life that is in all beings. Together, we rest into several moments of shared silence, followed by musical meditation.
Thank you, Yukiko. That was Jeu by the Catalan composer Mompo. As we come to the time in our service in which we ask for a financial contribution, I invite you to consider the many gifts that have already been shared this morning, the gifts of music, of sacred space and reflection, the gifts of volunteer time and skill to make the technology, logistics, and the welcome of this service possible. When we give to this community, whether we give our money or our time, or simply our presence and our attention, we affirm that we do belong together, and what we do here matters to us, that our shared values and the life of our community matters. We give with gratitude for all that we have been given, and with the faith that together we have more than enough. Links to donate will be in the chat and up on the screen, or you may write out a check and send it to the church after the service. Our ushers will be coming around the sanctuary to collect an offering for those in the pews who wish to donate something tangible. As the TP singers share Creature Praise, a musical offering to sustain the congregation of memory and hope we gratefully received.
I'd like to invite up David Forsyth to offer our next reflection.
My first reflection is, isn't our choir great? Not only that, but Rose has picked the three hymns today that are my favorites from my youth, so it's a glorious day. I'd like to put forward a thought about blessing wild animals. In an urban or suburban setting like West Roxbury, our encounters with wild animals tend to be most often in doing battle with pesky garden-raiding animals like rabbits, squirrels, chipmunks, and groundhogs, or perhaps mice invading the house. Over the years in our yard, we've also had skunks, opossums, raccoons, turkeys, and coyotes. One year we had a coyote family visit. It was fun to see the coyote pups tumbling about like dog puppies, even though the coyotes have probably been responsible for the disappearance of more than one neighborhood cat. What is missing in the urban setting is the more inspiring type of encounter with animals. In an urban setting, we tend to be apart from nature, not a part of nature. Much as we can't experience the awe and wonder of looking at the splendor of a comet or the billions of stars of the Milky Way, unless we get in a wilder area with a dark sky, we need to get more into the wild to experience animal wonders that are truly awesome. It won't surprise you, I'm going to use an example of birds, but let me give the example of the New Mexico wintering grounds of sandhill cranes and snow geese. Hundreds of cranes, which stand 4 feet high, can wheel about low overhead or land close by to feed in fields, as simultaneously long lines of snow geese pass above on the way to feed in a nearby marsh. Similarly, in the sandhills of Nebraska, the same birds and thousands more from other southern wintering grounds funnel through a 30-mile wide section along the North Platte River during spring migration. In December, in northwest Washington state, thousands of snow geese rise and fall as a cloud above Padilla Bay. Smaller birds can be nearly as impressive, especially when they fly in tight, coordinated fashion, somehow wheeling about as if one unit. During the migration of sandpipers along the ocean coast, sandpiper flocks flash into view as they tip their white underbellies toward you and then nearly disappear as their dark backs tilt toward you. Locally, you can see this kind of behavior but in the murmurations of starlings at Millennium Park when they gather by the hundreds at dusk in the fall. Or consider the less coordinated but still impressive sight of hundreds of chimney swifts plummeting into an unused chimney in Concord, New Hampshire. Or recently, we saw 200,000 tree swallows during fall migration settling at dusk into a marsh near the mouth of the Connecticut River, sometimes forming a collective vortex shape as they spiral down into the marsh. I don't have time to recount the encounter with a bull moose in northern New Hampshire, or coming upon a massive bison on a trail in the Black Hills of South Dakota, or watching a fox look me in the eye from 30 feet away before it decided to pounce on a mouse instead of worrying about me. These encounters and many more have nurtured my soul and lifted my spirits since I was a child growing up in the big sky country of Montana. And I still regularly seek opportunities for awe and wonder to occur again. At times like these, I imagine a less civilized past when we were more a part of nature rather than apart from nature. We are blessed to have some of these animals with us still, They deserve our blessings and our efforts to preserve some wildness in the world.
Thank you so much for that, David. Our reading today is by John O'Donohue, titled, "To Learn from Animal Being." Nearer to the earth's heart, deeper within its silence, animals know this world in a way we never will. We who are ever distant and distracted by the parade of bright windows thought opens, their seamless presence is not fractured thus. Stranded between time gone and time emerging, we manage seldom to be where we are, whereas they are always looking out from the here and now. May we learn to return and rest in the beauty of animal being, learn to lean low, leave our locked minds, and with freed senses, feel the earth breathing with us. May we enter into lightness of spirit and slip frequently into the feel of the wild. Let the clear silence of our animal being cleanse our hearts of corrosive words. May we learn to walk upon the earth with all their confidence and clear-eyed stillness, so that our minds might be baptized in the name of the wind and the light and the rain.
So grateful for the reflections shared here today, for these many reminders that our learnings from the animal beings around us, whether they are dogs or cats or birds or reptiles we share our homes with, or the wilder beings whose lives we are honored to witness, those learnings are infinite. With the blessing we receive from them on our minds, let us now return some of that energy and offer blessings to the beloved creatures that we have brought with us, whether they are physically here, represented in a photo, carried in our hearts, maybe represented as a stuffed animal. In a moment, I'll invite you to come forward if you wish to receive a blessing, and know first that there are many options for the blessing you can receive this morning. If you have brought an animal with you, you may bring them forward. If you've brought a representation of an animal with you, a leash, a photo, a stuffed animal, also please do bring those forward. And if you would simply like your relationship with animals blessed, you can ask for blessing in whatever way suits you. Blessing hands that pets and feeds companions, eyes that witness the beauty of the natural world, or hearts that are transformed by love and relationship with other beings. And if you are grieving the loss of a beloved animal companion today, please also bring your grieving heart up with you. Let us know if you'd like a blessing for grief, and we'll bless your grief and your love. And in particular, if you are grieving an animal, I invite you to come over this side of the sanctuary to the right and light a candle at our prayer station as you come up, so you can have a moment of honoring your beloved animal's memory. And if you are joining on Zoom and you have an animal companion with you, I invite and empower you to bless them, just as we are blessing them in the sanctuary today. Or you could bless yourself, or light a candle of remembrance, remembering that we need not be worship leaders to offer a blessing to those around us. And of course, if you would like to simply witness and observe, bask in the cuteness of animal companions, you are welcome to stay in your pew and soak in the chaos and connection. For our actual blessing, we will be using the water that we collected at our water communion earlier this month. It has been boiled. It is safe to share. Water that we have made holy by our shared intentions. Many traditions use water to bless, and blessing with water is a way to bless with the very essence of life itself. I invite you to come forward now along the side aisles if you can. I'll be up here to offer your blessings, and you can go back down the center aisle. Are you ready? Okay, who am I blessing?
This is very dog and a dolly and we have a
Kenny, I bless the memory of your beloved animals. And do I want to give a blessing to our owl friend? Owl, may you be blessed.
Now my puppy.
Your puppy, what's your puppy's name?